はい、皆さんこんにちは。今日はChvrchesをインタビューします。Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Ian.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Martin.
And we are the band Chvrches.
Yes, how has your stay in Japan been so far?
Very short so far. We just got in yesterday, so yeah, it's been busy.
It's been good. We've already eaten a whole bunch of food. So
Nice.
we've worked, but mostly eaten food.
For example?
We had some ramen last night and some gyoza soup dumplings today.
Nice.
And some sushi. And sweeties. You have really good sweeties here.
Yes,
Candy
we do.
and stuff. It's really good.
Awesome.
I got one in my mouth right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the latest album, Love is Dead. How has the writing process been for this particular album?
It was really fun to make. This was the first one that we made with an outside producer. First two albums we made just the three of us in a basement studio in Glasgow. But this one we made mostly with a guy called Greg Kirsten in Los Angeles and one track with Steve Mack, a producer from London.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was fun to try different things and kind of push ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit.
What's the writing process like for you guys usually? How do the songs come about?
Usually when it's just the three of us working, we tend to kind of just improvise melodic ideas over a basic kind of drum beat or chord sequence. There tends to be some kind of instrumental stuff comes out first, and then the melody will come out with kind of nonsense lyrics, and then sort of later on Lauren will add lyrics to it, and then we'll sort of like complete the production after that.
I read that you write lyrics that you bring in, even the ones that you crossed out, and then you all choose from there.
Yeah, like most of the time I'll write down words or phrases in a notebook as I think of them, and then as we're working on the song, we'll look through it to see if there's like a couple of words or phrase that would fit in that part of the song, and then I'll go away and write on the rest of the song, and then show it to the guys and see how we feel about it.
Interesting, yes. Well, the album is out on AWA now. The link is in the description, so please check it out. Yes. And I first found out about Chvrches. There's a band called Kitty, you know?
Yes,
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And they've been sharing a lot of articles, including the one about in The Guardian that you wrote.
Oh,
and
thanks, Kitty.
Just the other day, they were talking about how ridiculous the term female-fronted is. How it should be even classified as a category in music. What is your take on the term?
I feel like whether you like it or not, you're always going to have a gender prefix or suffix put on if you're a woman in a band. Like, there shouldn't be, in the same way as like, why are chick flicks a thing? Like, there's not men's films. Like, there's not male fronted bands. That's not a genre.
Exactly.
And I think it's just very backwards and basic that you can think of an entire gender as a genre, because you would never say that all men make the same kind of music, or all people from a certain country, or all people of a certain ethnicity. You would just never say that. And if you did say that, you would be wrong. But I guess there's not much we can do about it. And I kind of feel like I've learned at this point that we're always gonna have conversations about gender, so you might as well try and take that conversation and turn it into something more productive if you can, I guess.
Or all those publications that post like 10 hottest female in rock bands, or like, you know, women in rock and stuff like that, you know.
Maybe it's because there's too many men in rock to count. They couldn't even begin to make a list because there's just too many.
Well, thanks to movements like Me Too and Time's Up, the world has seen a darker side of the entertainment industry, and particularly treatment that women in the arts face. And with cases like Kesha and other female artists coming to her support, do you think we will see something similar movement, particularly in the music scene?
I don't know. I hope so, but I guess the main issue with the Kesha situation was that everyone had been talking about that for years. Like, she has never not spoken her truth on that situation, and I guess it just took a while for everyone else to catch up with that conversation. But at least now you're having the conversation in a more mainstream setting, so more women are being open about their experiences and are coming forward and also supporting each other during those things, but we're involving men in the conversation and helping them really understand and see what people are talking about. You can't brush it off as people overreacting anymore, because you've seen how grave and widespread it actually is. So, you know, I think it's good to draw this line in the sand and make these symbolic gestures. We just kind of have to hope that more tangible change is made afterwards, and it's not just right now because it's on trend that people are talking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm happy there's a conversation that's starting right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's very positive.
Yeah. And as the founder of TYCI, you're obviously...
R.I.P. TYCI. Acronym overload.
Yes.
Well, you're obviously very passionate about issues that women face in the industry. Do you think that women and women's rights supporters are more... There needs to be more unification to see effective change? Because you see people, you know, vocalizing their support, but in terms of like action...
Yes,
it's a different thing.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really important to take the conversation to a wider audience. So having these conversations at the Grammys or at the Oscars definitely makes an impact in that moment. But are you actually changing the way that you work, who you work with, how people are working within the industry? I don't know. And I do feel like there's a lot. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that there'll be less scrutiny on women and how they're saying things. Like, I feel like half the time I'm too feminist for some people and not feminist enough for other people, and it's almost like if you put yourself out in any way, then people are going to analyse every single thing you say beyond that. But I don't know, I guess I kind of flip-flop between, is it important for somebody to say anything regardless of the rest of the message they're putting out, or do you need to be true to what you're saying all the time? I read something the other day that about Ellie Goulding's speech at the Brits, and that was an amazing thing that she said, and that was really important. But then she said afterwards that she hadn't necessarily wanted to say it, and it wasn't her idea. Like, somebody had told her to say it, and like in that moment, I'm like, well, ultimately she brought it up in a context where it was really important to talk about it, and that does make a difference. But I wish we could take away this stigma of people talking about things. Like, if we can all just agree that that's bullshit and then proceed, then that would be good. Then people wouldn't have to feel awkward or uncomfortable or worried about what's going to happen to them and their careers for talking about it.
And it's not just women's rights, it's like supporting gay rights or any other issue, you know, like we can't bring politics into it. I don't want it's about music, I don't want to bring, you know, politics into it, and that's what I hear from other musicians. But I mean, music is about, you know, the lyrics included, you should be vocal about your beliefs, and it's kind of nonsense when people say that I don't want to bring my views into my music.
Well, and a lot of the time, I think somebody like Christina Aguilera is really amazing to me because she speaks about issues that aren't necessarily on first glance important to her or are touching her in her everyday life, but she has like a really big heart and she's thinking about those things and she's being conscious about it. And like when she released like Beautiful and stuff, that was so far before this conversation, but she was always like trying to make space for other people. She wasn't talking on their behalf, she was trying to put a spotlight on issues and give people space to talk about those things. And most of the time when people don't want to talk about stuff, it's because, you know, maybe it's not something they think about, but they are afforded the luxury to not think about it. If they don't want to think about feminism or race or LGBTQ rights, then that's because they have the luxury of not having to think about it. And I think if you have that platform and if you have a fan base who that's relevant to, then I think I don't know, it's just kind of common sense and human decency to talk about those things.
That's absolutely true, and it's important because they have the reach. They can reach certain demographics that other people can't reach easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's why I really don't buy into the idea that people are like, oh, certain pop stars aren't qualified to be talking about those issues. I don't buy into that because I think that you're reaching so many people, and if that's how people start thinking about things or start questioning things, then that's a really powerful thing. And it's kind of snobby to assume that people aren't qualified to talk about certain things because of the kind of music that they make. And I don't know.
You're not a scientist, you can't discuss
like,
climate change, you know.
You're like, we know it's bad.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, you know, I think it's about everybody wants to like belong somewhere and feel like they're part of a community, and I feel like, especially in what's happening in the world right now, we need to try and lean into that stuff as much as possible.
Absolutely. Let's change topic. Since we are a music streaming service, we want to know what you are listening to these days. If you can recommend our users some good music, that'd be great.
I like the new album by Rae Morris. That's really fun. It's a Welsh artist, I think. It's really big in the UK right now.
I have been listening to an American singer-songwriter called Phoebe Bridgers, and I'm excited to listen to the Cardi B album, but I haven't because we were travelling when it came out. So tonight's the night.
I've heard it, it's good.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the new album by the electronic artist Daniel Avery, which is, I think it just came out very recently, and yeah, it's very nice. I like it a lot.
Yes, we'll put the links in the descriptions. Nice. And last question. You are playing Fuji Rock 2018 this year. Are you excited?
Hell yes.
Yes. I feel like we've been lucky enough to play most of the festivals we grew up hearing about and wanting to play, but Fuji is the one
Oh,
that has
really?
eluded us. So yeah, like it's definitely it's so famous in the UK as well.
Mhm.
You hear, like, you would read about or watch sets from bands playing at it, and we get to do it, and it's meant to be really beautiful. We've never been there before. So.
You played Summer Sonic.
Yes,
Yeah.
we played Summer Sonic and like Hostess Weekender and some headline shows and
Yeah.
stuff. But first time at Fuji.
So I think you've played all the big festivals in Japan.
Ticked.
Yeah.
This is the one. It's the one.
The last box.
we're going
All
to do,
two.
yeah.
Awesome. Yes. So the latest album, Love Is Dead, has been out. So please check it out. So bad at this. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for having
Thanks for
us.
this.
Yes.